there is a very important feature inside Bricks Builder, and that is components. If you don't know about components, this video is for you. In this video, I will explain every single concept about components, how they are useful, and what problem it resolves. So let's get started. To give you the problem idea so that you can grab the concept of the components faster and better, I just created a very simple plain card, and that card is just like a simple plain block level element, and inside that we have this icon and another block which is representing heading and text. That's it. This is a simple structure. So let me just see if I'm using the same block in on my web page. For example, let's say I am adding more and more. So you are getting the idea that here I have now several block pieces, and what I'm going to do, I will just add a little spacing inside them. Okay. Now you can see that what if client comes to you and say that just change the color of these boxes. Right now we can just go one by one and do our stuff. For example, here I can change the color. I can add the text color. Okay, so whatsoever I can add. So for example, here foreground this color. Okay, so what if client want to change all these blocks? I have to go to every single block to change the color for every single element, and that's one case. What about if there are several pages? Let me just create one. So I'm going here and create another page, like for example page 2 or page 3, whatever you want. So for example I'm going here, but before going forward, let me just copy this one. Grabbing this one, I can right click on it, copy. Now I've just grabbed this one. Okay, so I just grabbed the wrong one. Let me just grab this one, just click on, right click on it, copy and paste here. So before doing that, I'm just adding a section and pasting it here. Now you can see that I have the block here as well. Now I'm adding more blocks here. So there are so many blocks here, and client comes in and say that you need to change the color of these cards. What will you do? You will go to every single page and change the color by yourself. So you will do this again and again. Like for example, in my case, I'm doing the changing the color and go to the text, and text inside this I am changing its background, which is foreground. Okay, so I have to change for every single block. What about if there are like 8 pages, 10 pages, 12 pages? So every single page you have to visit by yourself and change the color. So it will take a lot of time, right? So what is the mechanism of components? So components are like reusable pieces. You just have to create once, and then you can utilize them on multiple pages, and then you have the option to change from one place, and then it will happen on all the screens. This is the power of components. So it adds the scalability in your components. Components adds the scalability in your web development process. Not only scalability, you can save a lot of time. You can ship faster. You can ship faster changes. And one more thing I want to mention, there is a chance that you will be able to do a website that can take up to 10 days. You can complete into 5 days or 3 days, depending on how you structure your website. If you are not using the components, then you are losing a lot of time. So here is a very quick example of without the components and with the components. On the left side, you can see that there is a repetitive, messy code, hard to maintain, and you can see that the cards are inconsistent. You cannot manage them for a long-term project. So, and it is a repeated code like everywhere, inconsistent design and spacing, and hard to update. So every change is manual. So you have to go to every single page and change the specific change for your client. So on the right side, you can see that it is a more structured approach by using the design system in place as well. And it is very easy to maintain. And card consistency, you can see the card consistency in place. So this is like a reusable hero component and reusable card component, testimonial component. So everything has been divided into the reusable pieces of blocks, so you can use them later. The best part about components is that you have to create only once, and then you can use them later, not only on that specific website, but for your all clients website. For example, you have just created a collection of components library, and then you can use them. So let me give you some examples of the components libraries that exist that even you can import into your bricks builder by using the CSS importer framework. Here is an example of the Bootstrap, which is a very popular CSS framework, and you can go just visit their website, for example here, and click on the documentation, just scroll down and click on these components area. So you can see that there are different components existence, like accordion, alerts. Not only that, but you can also see the variants, which I will talk about later, that what are variants. And you can see that they have different colors. And now let's take a look at the badge. They have different sizing, breadcrumbs, they have different structure, buttons, and you are getting the idea that buttons have some consistent borders, consistent padding. Each and everything is in design system. So you have the idea that these components exist, like even the card component exists. So card has some specific structure, and carousel. So these are all the example of the components that already exist in the market, but you don't have to use them. I mean, you can use them, but if the it depends upon the website. If the website is too complex and it takes longer, then you can just import these type of components inside your website and then customize them according to the website needs. But I prefer that if you are on the WordPress site, then use the existing systems or create your own design system, then approach them. It depend upon your taste. It all depend upon your speed, how you feel more comfortable. So here is an example of Shatcyan. Shatcyan is a very quick giving you the idea about the components. There are a lot of components here. You can get the idea. Like for example, in alert, you can see that there is more focus on the structured things, which and every component has different variant. For example, here you can see the plain, the default version, and this one is like the alert circle. So you are getting the idea about this component schemes. And if I go to another avatar, badge, breadcrumb, button, everything, every single thing. For example, we will create inside the bricks builder, we are going to create this type of thing, okay, just after a few minutes. And you can see that it has different variants. The structure is same, the data is different, and the positioning is well mannered, well consistent. So whenever you try to create the components with the approach, with the proper mindset, then you will be able to create the components in the better shape. You can get the inspiration from these websites. You are free to move, or you can look into the inspiration or from the landing pages websites. There are so much more data exist on the internet. Even you can ask the AI to give you the inspiration, like for example Cloud Design or Google Tools. So it all depends how you get the motivation, how you get the inspiration to build the components. Once you get used to it, you will always make the components first, and then you will do the layout stuff later. So it depends upon how you are going to utilize them. Let's take a look how we can solve this problem. And for that, I'm just deleting them and reset your style. Okay, I'm just giving a reset, giving it a quick reset. Okay, so I think that should work. And if there are any settings, I'm just resetting them. And if so, we will start from scratch, so you will get the better idea. Okay, I think that should be inside it. Yeah, now we are good to go. First I will start from here, because we need to select the icon. So icon could be anything. So let's say I'm selecting this icon, this one. Okay, now here, from here, you have to define the classes. So this is the block, the main block, and I'm also calling it item. So I'm also calling it item. Okay, this is just a name here on the structure panel. We need to define the classes from here. So I'm just calling it item, save and select it. So now this is selected. So whatever the changes I will do now will apply to this class. So let's take a look how it will work. First of all, I need horizontal flex direction row, and the next thing is I need a gap. So it's a column gap. I am selecting this inside this panel, and here we go. I need some padding. I can directly go to this padding. Okay, and I'm selecting this small padding. Yeah, that's enough. I guess that's enough. Okay, now the thing that is most important is we have created a structure of our component. We can now change them. We can now add the variety inside it. So I can, like for example, add another class, which is, we can use the BEM approach, which is block element modifier. Now we have this class in place. If I add and create a new components, it is now easy for me to maintain them. It is a place from where I can select the class and apply the styling. Let's say there is a, I can call it item, and I am calling it item, and I'm calling using the BEM approach, which is block element modifier. You can look into this. This is a practice, and item, and I'm calling it primary. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just picking up the name. And for the primary, I am selecting a color which is like this one, and the text color should be muted foreground or primary foreground. Okay, so this is the primary card color. Okay, item shape has been defined and I have added inside this. And if you want to take a look on the front end side, I'm just going to inspect element, go here. You will get the idea that how these classes are getting maintained. From here you can see that this is the item class, and this just get added the item primary. So if I remove this class, let's say I remove this class, and you can see our structure is there. Okay, so this is very important to understand that these classes are chaining. This is a basic CSS HTML CSS concept, so don't get worried. The problem that we want to solve is the component approach. For example, if now I want to maintain this, I want to duplicate this. Okay, I have this duplication inside them. I want to change the color of the primary. So for example, if the client comes in and say that change the color, first of all, let me just copy this and paste it here as well, because this is the second page that we did, and I'm just pasting it here. Now we have the component instance here as well with the card with the classes, and I'm just going to add it here. We have a component collection of components. Okay, now if I change here, so for example, now if your client comes in and say that the primary color should be something else, it shouldn't be green, what should be the color? So I will just come here inside, select it, and go to the background color, change its color to something else, and kaboom, the all instances will be changed immediately. So for example, from here you can see this also changed. So there is a spacing thing. I can just go here and add the row spacing something like small. That's it. So you are getting the idea that how powerful these classes are. You can just define the classes at once, and then you can just change them. So for example, let's take a look at this one. I'm now going to create a variant. Okay, so giving you the idea about the variant, this one is also the variant, which is the primary one. Now I want the secondary one, so let's create another variant of this. How can we do this? So I just selected this, and here you can see the class, which is item primary. I'm just going to remove it from here. Don't worry, it will not remove from the class manager. Okay, now we have the basic item class, which is active. I'm now going to create item and secondary. Okay, item secondary class, this one is now selected. Okay, item secondary class is selected. Just confirm this and go here inside the background, click on color palette or whichever color you want. So I'm just selecting the success, and now this is using the color. So I can select from here, or I can just use the color picker, depending on if you have a design system in place. You should be using the CSS variables, or this is just for the demo purpose. That's why I'm using this color scheme. So it's up to you. I can easily go here and use any of this color, like primary foreground, which is fine, totally fine. And now you can see we have this variant in place, which is item secondary. Now I can I add this inside here? Yes, why not? You just need to remove this, select the item secondary. Here you go. You now have different variants of the components, which you can utilize in any possible way. You have now the proper understanding of the CSS classes, that how they are manipulating things and what is the benefit of it. So you just created an item component and now you can utilize them. You have seen that how the variance works, how these components approach is useful. This is the first approach. I'm going to tell you another way, which is a newer way inside the bricks builder, which will help you to centralize these settings. So we are going to create or clone this component inside the bricks builder using the components feature. So you will get the better idea what are variants, what are properties. So inside the bricks, I am going to delete all of this. We'll start from scratch. I'm just adding a block. Okay. So I need a block. Inside block, what do I need? I will just go here, get the idea. So I just use the block. Now I need icon, title, and the description. So what I need, text, our icon text, which is for the description, or maybe the title, which is heading and text. Okay, so this makes our component. Now I'm calling it item. It's up to you. Item icon, item title, and item description. Okay, so now you have the item icon, or you can call it this one is item icon or item media, whatever you call. So I need an other one. I'm just selecting these two and wrapping it inside the block. What I will call them the item content. Now I have two blocks. What do I need to do? I need to structure them first. So before doing that, I'm just clicking it here, and without using the CSS classes, I am using this approach. Just go here inside the structure or inside the size, just change your size to the smaller one, or I can say the smaller or maybe the medium. From here, I need to change the title, which is S2, and the text size should be small. Text size is like large, or maybe the small, no, the medium is fine. And I can change the settings here, which is bricks builder. Now here I can add whatever I want, just adding it here, an innovative community. So now I need to structure it. I will just use flex direction row, add the column gap, or maybe a smaller one, extra small. So I need to add the padding. Is from here, select the padding to medium. I think that is fine, or maybe small. It's up to you that how do you want them. So if I take a look, that this is a basic structure of it. We are doing it pretty well. That's major thing. Now I am going to wrap them inside the block. Why? So basically I added this block as a playground for a component. So I did not add the width on the item. This is the key point that you should also notice, that never ever to try to add the width until restrictive cases. There may be some cases where you don't want your component to expand further on the screen, but in that case as well, you have to wrap your component, the main component, inside the block or div, whatever you want prefer. So why I prefer don't to do this? So basically your component should be like a water. There is a famous saying by Bruce Lee. The first one is by me, by the way. Components should be like water. Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. Now you put your water into a cup, it becomes the cup. Put water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put in a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. So this is the same principle that applies to the components. Your components should be flexible enough so you are not bounding them, you are not restricting them. Because by default, your components should not have any color in place. So for example, here I have this item. This is my default case where I'm not putting any color. So there are cases where you put the colors, for example, good bad things, good bad components, or the components that may be some requirement, but you can also get the inspiration from the shared CN to get the idea how they have structured them. These are just like the wireframe type thing where you are just creating the base thing and then add things later. So I'm adding one thing here, which is the maximum width just for the playground. Maximum width like 40 RAM. Oh, sorry. Yes, maximum width is 40 rem. Okay, just to give the idea. And then another thing which I am adding here is the margin auto. Okay, I can go here and put auto, so it will remain in the center. Second most important thing that I don't usually add on the components are margins, because it will impact other components if you add somewhere. So don't add the margin on the components. Now convert it into a component. Save as a component. Just right click and save as a component. Now it will ask you to assign any category. I'm not adding any category. It is asking you what is this component about. So I'm just clicking on create. Now we are in a space of the components. This is a structure panel, which is the same. If you want to go back to the instance is something like the copy of your or the child of your the component. Okay, so this is the child, and from where it gets controlled, this is the space. So you just have to click on the edit component, and now from here what you can do, you can assign the properties. What is the properties? You can change the design from here, and it will apply the same principle like classes, where we assign the classes and change the colors. Now from here we have these properties. Now inside this property panel, this is a property panel. You can create the property from here, as well as you can go inside these, and like for example in this case I can add the connect the property from here as well. Basically the concept of the property, it's like if you have used ACPT, like they allow you to add different fields to the existing custom post type. So the similar concept is here. So if you have used ACPT, they allow you to add or attach the field to the custom post type or the existing. So a very similar concept is here about the properties. The properties work basically just like that. It allows the fields to insert the text. Okay, so for example here, from here I can add the properties, and by from here, like for example I can connect the properties from here as well. So let's say I need to change, I want my users or myself to be able to change the icon. So I will just create a property. Now I have the option to choose from. So these are the currently the supported properties which you can add. For example, in our case we are using icon. You can use image gallery, link, select, toggle, query loop, or global classes. So in our case I am using icon. I just need to tell it that it is item icon. Okay, it's up to you. I'm just using, if I want to display the default icon, I can select from here. Right now I'm not doing that, just create it. Now I have this property created, but it is not attached. You need to attach it. So for that you just need to click on it and select this property. Now you can see this property has been connected with our component. I am going to add from here as well. You can see that now the property that I created has been added here as well. From here, how can you do this? You just need to create a new property, select the property type. So let's say I want, for this one I need text. I will call it like item and title. Okay, item title, and then create it. Now this property has been created, but you can see this sign, which means that it is unconnected. It is not connected to anything, to any element. So when I click on it, it will lead me to this panel. So I will just click on item title. Inside that I will just click on this connect property, and this one is unconnected property because we just created it here. Now just select it. Now we have a text in place which we can add. I can also add the description. So let's say I'm just clicking on item description. From here, item title. Okay, so what I need, these are the properties which I've already added. I will just create a new property, which is the item description. Okay, and then select. So these are all the properties. So I've just connected them here. Now I have connected all the properties. I will just go back and now I'm in the instance. Now you can see these are all displaying here, which is very cool. You can now just select the icon from here. So it is giving the experience like ACF, like it is giving like experience low. Okay, so you are getting the idea that it is now allowing you to select the values, write the text according to your choice. And from here, let's say I'm selecting this card. Okay, the icon is there, and creating it like bricks builder. And so I'm currently an amazing WordPress builder. Okay, so now I have this card. How amazing it is. Now that I have this item component in place, I have these fields, the properties in place. What I can do further, I can use this. How can I utilize this? I have this component created. How can I utilize it? So let's say this page, which is the page 2, I want to utilize them here inside this. So I will just go click here inside the component, and here we go. We have our component, and you can see we have the option. Let's say I'm selecting this one, contact me. Here is my contact number. Okay, 0900 plus plus plus. So let's create some variants. You have learned about the properties. Okay, you have the option to still create any of the properties and then connect them to any of the things which are allowed inside the bricks builder. But for now, you have get the properties idea. Let's talk about the variants. So if we go here again and go to the components, the item component, I'm just selecting it, the item. So you can see we have this outline variant and the muted variant. Muted variant is just with the background, a muted background. So how can we do this? So first of all, this is the base component which I am telling default, and I'm adding another variant which is like a default variant has been added, which is like outline, and the third one is the muted. Okay, so this variant has been added. Now how can I select them? This is the confusion that when I first created this component, this is the confusion that I also get. So I just need to click on it, and now you have these all the variants available here. So whenever you select it, you will be able to change the settings from here. So for example, for this default setting, I'm not changing anything. For outline settings, I will go to I've just selected this one, and I will go like border. Inside the border, I will select the 1 pixel, maybe 1 pixel to all, and default to solid. Color could be anything. I can say the border. Oh, actually I have a border. Okay, so I've just selected the border. Now outline has been added. Now if I go here and see, this variant is the base on the base class. This is the base element. Now if I select the outline element, you can see a little border around this one. If you can't see, let me just give it. If I just save it, go to this here, you can see that there is a little border around this corner. So you have the ability to change the variant at any time. You can create this variant and do whatever you want. So this is a basic example. You can create many type of variants of a component. Okay, now let's talk about the muted part. This time I'm selecting muted, and I'm going inside the background settings, and from here, so I don't have any color, so I will just select a little bit like EF. So a little muted color. It is giving me this one. Now I have these settings enabled. If I go here and add another component, let's say I want to add, from here I'm adding another component. Just let me just give it a little space. I can also duplicate it, but I wanted to show you again that we have this variant available. Okay, now you can select any of this property from here. So for this case, I am using anything, right? Or from here, I can also use the dynamic data, but let's say my location. This is my pinned dynamic location. Okay, whatever you want. So you are getting the idea that how we just created this amazing piece of the components with the help of the simple components inside the bricks builder. Now I'm just going to duplicate it to give you the idea that we have this third variant as well. Now this is the base variant, this one is the muted variant, and this one is the outline variant. So we have created 3 types of variants. And the next feature that we are going to explore is the experimental feature at this stage, but this is a very powerful feature and it can open a lot of possibilities. So what is this feature? For example, this let's say I just selected this one and go to this edit page, edit component, and now from here you can see the option which is use in block editor. So I just click on it. Right now it is disabled. You just need to enable it, and now you will be able to use this inside block editor. So I'm just saving it, but before that you need to go to these settings. Inside the brick settings, okay, you need to enable this feature which is currently in, I'm in the general tab, and this one is the experimental feature. Just and it will be by default disabled. You just need to enable it. So you have two options: enable individual components manually or enable all components automatically. I will just select this one and click on save, and then this will allow you to use these components inside the block editor. So how we can use them? I'm just going here inside the posts, edit post. From here you will have the possibility to add the item. So this is the bricks builder item. You can add from here, or you can go and search here item, and from here you have the option to select them. You can see that if I go here, just select them, and now here, my friend, is the option to unlock the many possibilities. Just imagine how creative you can be. Like for example, for just create the component and utilize them inside the Gutenberg block editor. So how cool is that? You have the option to customize them however you want, and for this case, let's say I'm just adding this one and contact me, and from here I'm just selecting this is the contact number. So right now you can see that it is not showing the right component structure, but later on the website you will see that this is displaying the right format, which is very cool. For example, you are creating a blog post and you have the option to create your own components, widgets, and then include them inside your blog post without buying any additional package, without buying an additional plugin for that purpose. Another use case would be like you are creating your newsletter form, and just by making your own design and just instead of putting the shortcode everywhere, you are just placing your own component. This is a very cool feature that I like, because this is just rendering the components inside the block editor. Not only that, but later when you will add the custom properties using the ACF, ACPT, or Metabox, you will still have this option, and you will be able to add those components inside on those fields. So you just need to create the reusable collectively component and then utilize them inside your block editor. You have the option to change the variant. You have the option to do anything. So this is like, currently it is an experimental feature. I don't recommend you to use them until it gets matured. So, but this one is very useful feature, which I really like. What about if I want to attach a button inside this item as a secondary component, not the part of this element, but as a secondary component? Can we do this? Let's take a look. Right now, I am just clicking here, adding the button. Okay, so button is here. I can style it however I want, and just small, or maybe the button is, I'm calling it action. Background, you can design it however you want. I'm just giving you the example. I'm giving it a very smaller size. Okay, so this is the action. I'm calling it action, and this is the button shape as each and everything. So I'm just giving you the example of a component by using the element. So I'm just turning it into the component, the bricks component. I'm calling it button, action button, or button. I'm calling it button. So now you see that our component is ready. We need to connect the properties. So I'm connecting from here, which I can connect from here as well, and go to the context, which is this one. So I can write any dynamic text whenever I will use this component, because this could be another one like delete action, save action, or anything. It could be anything. So I'm just assigning it the text, just text added. Now it is a button. By default, I can also set the text. If you want to do this, you can go here, and here I'm just calling it action and save. Now the property has been connected. What we need, just go to the back to the instance, and you can add any text from here. For example, save, okay, for example, delete, or anything that you want. Now I am going to delete this button, and I will show you that how we can nest it inside the item. Deleting, and inside this we need to add the button. How can we do this? Just go here inside the edit component and then add component. Here we go. We have the action inside the item component. So this one is the main component. This one is the nested component that we just added. Can we edit the text? Oh yes, we can edit from here as well. We can even assign it separate properties. So for example, here I can assign some properties that I want inside this way. For example, let's say I want to assign it something else, then I can do this. So now you can see that we are easily able to add an external component inside another component. This concept is also called nested components. So you have learned it, nested components. If you take an example from here, you have a clear example that we can now add the nested component. Now sometimes now the problem is we have added it when we can use it. It doesn't mean that we can't use it. We can use it. But what about if sometimes I need an icon, sometimes I need a link, or sometimes I need an image? How we can approach this? There is a feature inside the bricks component. It's called slotting. So what is a slot? A slot is just like a placeholder. Placeholder is just like you are making a space for someone else, which can be added later. So how we can approach it? For now, you will just go here and see that there is no slot element here. Why? Because we are in the instance. So slot can be added inside the components. So just components from where you can edit them. So from here, we are using it. So right now I'm going to delete it, and I am going to make something like item actions. So just giving it a block inside this element, not this one. So I am going to add here, and I'm calling it item actions. Item actions. Inside the item actions is a slot. This slot will help us to add anything later. So now we can add anything inside it. How cool is that? Previously we created our button component. Can we add inside this slot? You just need to select the slot and go to the elements inside the components, or any element you want. For example, if I need to add the icon, I can do this. If I need to add the image, I can do this. If I need to add my components, I can also do this. So now you have the more flexibility and more power. Okay, you have the more flexibility and more power. You can add any number of components here, any number of things here inside the slots. And not only that, but you have the option to add more slots inside each component. So let me give you an example. Just go here, inside here. Let's say I want to place some little bit of text in between item title and item description. Just go here, add a slot, and slot added. Now I have these two slot options which I can utilize. So in the first slot, you can see the place from where I can just, let's say I want to add the text link. So here's the text link, my friends. Yeah, read me. So I'm just giving the example that we can add anything. Let's say I'm going to blog page or whatever page. So I just added a link. So slots are very powerful concepts inside the components. Now you have learned almost all the concepts about the components. If I miss something, just comment below this video and I will create another video about the components. So you have learned about like classes. We started from classes, like how we can create reusable classes and assign them, and then we used the centralized system of the components, that how we can store them inside the components, and then we talk about nested components, slots. Almost all the major things has been cleared, and on the way you also learned about what are properties, how we can create the variants. So if you want to learn more about the bricks builder, you can just subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up, and more interesting things are coming on this channel.